Welcome to another episode of the Nigerian File Podcast. I am your host, August Badagry. Today we're going to talk about three types of Nigerians in the diaspora. First one is those that were born and raised in Nigeria. Second classification are those born in the diaspora but raised in part in Nigeria. Third class are those that are born and raised exclusively in the diaspora. I'm also going to talk about within each of these classes those who are likely to return to Nigeria, and at the other end, those who will never return, and those who are in between. So let's get through it. The first classification, those who are born and raised in Nigeria. These are Nigerians that, again, born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria, went to primary and secondary school typically in Nigeria, and came into early adulthood in Nigeria, and then left Nigeria for the Americas, Europe, wherever outside of Nigeria for post-secondary education and what have you. Now, in some cases, they may or may not return to Nigeria. Usually they end up staying postgraduate or undergraduate degree in their country of immigration and continue their lives there. And the second group, those that were born in diaspora but partially raised in Nigeria. Typically, you have Nigerians like myself who were born in the U.S. or in other cases born in England, for example, but maybe went to primary school in Nigeria or part of secondary school in Nigeria and then returned to their country of birth. And in those cases, you have some that may come back because when their parents bring them, or they may come back for particular family occasions like a wedding or a milestone birthday for a parent or maybe even a grandparent, depending. The third classification are those who are born and raised exclusively in the diaspora outside of Nigeria. Now, in some cases, you may have at least one parent that is Nigerian, of course, but the other parent may not be Nigerian. It could be somebody that is either from the child's place of birth or even elsewhere. Or in some cases, they both are Nigerians, but they just never had their children come back to Nigeria for whatever reason. I've met enough of them, so it's not as uncommon as one may think. And for all appearances, you would not be able to tell that the individual is Nigerian apart from their name. And that's if they don't have a ethnic Nigerian name. If they have a name that is either taken from colonial times or, in a lot of cases, depending on what generation the individual's parents were, may actually have an English name in conjunction with their ethnic Nigerian name, depending on the parentage and circumstance. And they typically do not speak the language, and if they understand it, it's very minimal. And so you wouldn't have the typical markers you may have otherwise for a Nigerian who's either partially raised in Nigeria or fully raised in Nigeria. So you couldn't, for example, in America, figure out, if the name didn't give it away, that the individual was in fact of Nigerian parentage. Now, in those cases, there's not a reason for them to come back because, as far as they're concerned, they're home wherever they happen to be, and Nigeria may just be a place they know about because their parents are from there, and they may have, pictures of life there from their parents, or even maybe people visit, but it would depend on the type of parents they have. In some cases, some parents pretty much, they leave Nigeria and they're out, and so they may not hear a lot of detail, and there may not be a lot of cultural transfer to their children. So next we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about the likelihood of these classes of Nigerians either returning to Nigeria or not at all and everywhere in between. So for the first class, for those born and bred in Nigeria, the first subcategory in terms of likelihood to return or not are those who return as much as they can. They came to wherever country they emigrated to from Nigeria simply to get some economic success and transfer the back. So they remit a lot, they come back to Nigeria every chance they get, and they will continue to do so. For them, it's not really any change from their normal mode of operation. And it's just part of who they are, and they see Nigeria as home, full stop, despite how well things may be going or not in their country of immigration. On the other extreme, you have the born and bred in Nigeria individual who has no desire to return. They unfortunately may have been caught on the underside of Nigerians' prosperity if they enjoyed any of it, or they were in a certain class in Nigeria that it went from worse to horrible. And so there is no desire for them to go back once they got the opportunity to leave and get a better socioeconomic life. And barring the death of a parent, there's no real reason they would even push to go back. Anybody that they may have cared to see that's in Nigeria, they just as soon have the person come meet them wherever they may be than go back. For the second class, those Nigerians who are born in the diaspora and have been partially raised in Nigeria, for those individuals, you have three subcategories. Those who are just more comfortable in the diaspora because that's where they were born and they spent enough time there in their formative years that they've adjusted to it. If they're coming back, it's because of some affinity their parents may have put into them, some curiosity based on prior exposure, some desire to reconnect. In other cases, it may be an existential change, like the way the Trump presidency has affected the United States. You have a lot of what I call neo-Pan-Africanists that are basically seriously visiting Black Africa or are looking to move back. They're somewhere in that process because of that. Second subgroup are those who, with or without an existential catalyst, have always been curious about going back, but partly because of the comfort they experienced in the diaspora and the decline of the country, maybe since they've been there, or they were there at an age where everything was pretty much provided for them as a child, and so as an adult it'd be different, and there's not really an easy path back of comfort that they're not used to. They may be hesitant to go back because of everything they may see in the news and stories they may hear from Nigerians that say, don't go back, or they may be hesitant to actually make the commitment to return. The subcategory are those that actually want or consider going back, but again, they are used to a certain standard of living and would like to have that standard of living if they return to Nigeria. So they're really either deterred by not being able to really achieve that level of standard in Nigeria because they have other commitments where they are in the diaspora, or they're in the process of really wanting to fully establish themselves before returning back. Under the third class, those who have been born and raised completely in the diaspora, you have those who are terrified because of what they hear and what they see and all the images the media present of Nigeria. And they literally view Nigeria the way a non-Nigeria would, who's never been there, who's never been to the African continent. That's usually the vision they get, unless their parent has given them some sort of positive look into Nigeria. But I have not met a single in this class that their parent had given them an above average appeal of Nigeria, enough for them to say, hey mom, hey dad, I'm interested in kind of going. Can you help me be comfortable going there? I've not seen it yet. It's either the person is terrified to go because of what they've seen or told, or they're not inclined to go, but they're not disinclined to go. It's could be either there or there. If they had some encouragement, or if somebody bought them a ticket, they could be be convinced to go, but it's not something they would readily put their money together and spend the money to go and all the lodging and all the expenses, typically with a trip to Nigeria. They just as soon go to England or to Bahamas or what have you, or to Spain rather than go to Nigeria. And the third subcategory of those diasporans born and raised in the diaspora are again those that may have been hit by an existential change. Again, similar to what I mentioned before of the Trump presidency, whereas they were comfortable, things were going great, they were on whatever track they were on, and all of a sudden you have the Trump presidency, you have George Floyd, you have all that stuff really maybe resurged a sense of black pride, Pan-Africanism, learning about that, and then has maybe driven them to really start thinking of at least visiting there. When I say there, Nigeria, maybe even other places that may be more accessible in their minds because they're more popular to go to as a black person in the diaspora. For example, South Africa, Tanzania, so on. And so that is the third subcategory. So that covers it for those three classifications of Africans in the diaspora and how likely or not they are to return or visit Nigeria. If you have any questions, please put in the comments, and thank you for listening. Take care.